So am I. So am I.
Yes.
I'm just really excited to see where this goes.
Me too.
I think we're streaming. There we are. Okay, well, welcome to A Day of Love and Light 2019. And this segment, I'm really excited to introduce you to Paige. But first, I'm going to just explain why we're doing this event. And this event is something we're doing from Christmas Eve through Christmas Day evening. And it's an event that live streams every other hour for 24 hours, and we're here to serve those who will benefit from the voices, the story, the wisdom of the leaders who have gathered on this Christmas day, and they're gathering freely, giving their time to the world during this event. And I'm humbled to be collaborating with them and helping bring the message of love and light, and specifically their gift. You're going to get their gift as we go through every segment. And this particular segment is just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful woman who I would say I connected like immediately with you,
Yes.
immediately.
Yes.
And her story is intense and is profound. And more than that, who she is in spite of, because of, is really the gift that now is brought to the world. So Paige, this is Pagepowers, and
Hi, everyone.
I would love for you to maybe give a little bit of background, however much you want to share. But
Okay.
I do feel like a bit of background is really key here.
Okay.
Whatever
Okay.
you want to share about who you are and why you do what you do.
Okay. Well, Jeanne, first, thank you so much. It is truly, truly an honor to be here. And, you know, background, just a short synopsis. In 1993, I got divorced, and my ex-husband got visitation with my children. And on the first visitation that he had them by himself, he murdered them. My daughters were 7 and 9 years old, Martina and Helen. And boy, they still dance though. They dance, and, I am their legacy. And with that, I hold that very, very sacred, to be able to bring them forward and who they could have been.
Mm.
And who they are now in the spirit world, and bring them forward into every breath, every breath and every moment. And so my rose colored glasses are Martina and Helen colored glasses. And, they were about love. They were love, and that never left. That never left. And they have shown me great, great mercy through the years. And, on days like today, where it's like, ooh, it catches your breath, and it's like, okay, all right, I'm still here. I can be their message as well as my own. I don't forget myself in this. It is about us as a collaboration, sharing mercy and that joy, that engagement of life through love. It's all of that and more. And so in their passing, they brought forward great healing, for myself and others as well. So,
Well, that was really annotated. So I'm going to dive a little deeper
okay.
because there's nothing Pollyanna about it, is there? It's
No.
it was a very significant loss. Obviously, there was, aftermath. There was legal stuff, and
Yes.
I mean, but I think when we had our first conversation, you spoke of how quickly can you talk about that? Like there was a shift.
There was. Martina and Helen were killed in another state. So I had an 8-hour drive between being notified and being in the state that they were in. And so I had sole physical custody, and so I needed to identify them. And with the media had already been alerted even before I knew. So it was a bit of a circus and an additional not obstacle, but an addition to the experience to really try to figure out as the experience was so intense in those moments. I mean, my goodness. And I remember being on the car ride there and not believing it, of course, and praying that that wasn't the case. And then having them come forward and just saying, we're fine, we're with grandma. And it's like, okay. So
Can you talk about that a little bit more? What that, I believe I know what you mean, but I want people to understand what you're saying there.
So my mother had passed away previously. And so Martina and Helen actually in the car ride, and I am a professional intuitive. I am a 4th generation intuitive. So I tap into spirit and have since I was 3. So having them come and tap in and come and sit with me in the car and let me know they were with my mom brought a sense of peace. It doesn't in any way negate my grief, my horror, my, all of the emotions that go with the experience of having 2 of your children murdered, 2 of my children murdered. I was still feeling everything with the addition of having that great mercy of knowing that they had been held during their experience and their trauma and their tragedy. And very soon after that, it was, I kept getting messages and one of the messages, and I shared this with you, Jeanne, when we first talked was, I couldn't believe my heart was beating. I just couldn't believe it. How can I keep going? This is not a choice. This is not a choice. And I got every heartbeat is a love letter to life. Mm. And so now your heart is saying, engage. Your soul is saying, you're still here. Can you engage from a place of love and great mercy for yourself and those around you in the next steps? And so I have been guided every step of the way. I've not been alone that for a second, maybe in the physical realm, because when circumstances like this happen, people that have been close to you. I was a Brownie Leader for Martina's Brownie Troop, and so many times I would see the kids in the grocery store and the parents would grab them and run the other way. Yes. And it would be like, ouch, ouch, yes. And that's painful. To be fully engaged in our children's lives and then to have that stop, just like, like a truck hitting a wall.
The parent grabbing the child and pulling away. It was more about the child.
Yes, and protecting the child. Yes. And I understand that. And I honor that. It's just
yes.
It's hard because they used to come to my house once a week.
Wow.
And so, and the legal system having to, not only be in a place of grief and, go to the funeral home and make sure that the services were set up and all of that, all the time with a police officer right outside the door. So knowing that, gosh, what could that mean? What, and just really trying to engage in what was best for me and my family, at that point. And it wasn't easy. And there's days now where it's not easy.
Yeah.
Yet my heart still says, we're in love with the life that you have. And so we are going to continue to engage. And so that's what I do. I engage in this beautiful experience that's called life with from a place of great love and respect for others that are hurting, that are suffering, that are grieving. I did my grief alone for quite some time, and that brought me to that place of the aloneness, of being able to be alone with it as well, and sit with it and sit in those moments. And it took time. That's the other thing. It's not like, I had these beautiful insights, and then it was like I would write them on sticky notes and put them everywhere.
Wow.
So I could see them, to remind myself, oh, that's right. This is a love letter to life. Okay, gosh, how can I make that be my truth? How can I make that be something that I can share with somebody else who is also going through a great loss? And so that's what I do. I write sticky notes. And even to this day. And forgiveness was another one. I was like, are you kidding? Please tell me that this is something that you'll bring forward in 10 years from now. And it wasn't. It was 10 days.
Oh.
And it was, okay, so are we ready to forgive? Nope. Don't know how. I would not have a clue how to. So asking for guidance from spirit, and I sought out, the minister at the church that I grew up in, that my kids grew up in. And even he said, I don't have the answers. Yeah. I don't know. And so that's when that alone time was so, now looking back, was so precious and so necessary for the ability to go forward and be more than alone. So, and the love that you feel in that alone, sometimes, and today it's Christmas Day, and there's many people, Jeanne, that too, that are by themselves and wondering, oh my gosh, how am I going to make it through this day?
Yes. I'm
so in love with this person that's not here, and I have no way to express that.
Yes.
And sometimes just to give ourselves a hug is the only way. Or there's times where I have a pillow next to me. My whole bed is full of pillows. I love pillows because I can hold them. And pillows can be the representation of the person that's not there, or the beloved pet. Sometimes it's this beautiful pet that has been a companion, and to be able to walk with them again for a second and just breathe them in, and your heart as you're breathing is beating, and it's loving every second. And there's great mercy in the curiosity that being alone can bring. When we step into fear or into the great sadness, allowing it. That was one thing back when Martina and Helen were first killed. I remember going to see somebody and them saying, let me give you some medication. And I said, I can't take medication. I need to feel this. I need to feel this. And he had met Martina and Helen, because with a divorce, we try to make sure that everybody is emotionally supported. And so, and he said to me, he says, I don't know how you can do this without medication. And I said, well, watch. I'm doing it because I'm still in love. They're still love. That doesn't get taken away. Not ever. And so through the years, I've been professionally an intuitive and a coach and a spiritual mentor for the past 16 now, excuse me. And Martina and Helen seem to bring me people, lots of people. And it is always such an honor to sit with other parents or people that have lost somebody that they've loved dearly, and to be able to hold that space for their authenticity in their grief to come forward. Because that's, I think, what, our society doesn't want. No, let's just hurry, instant fixes.
We don't know what to do.
Right. Right.
I mean, really and truly, like I wasn't around death a lot as a child. I think I was a young adult. I had a couple grandparents pass, but I was like a young adult, and
Right.
I didn't, sometimes people, they don't know what to say. I have learned to say, I don't know what to do, but I am here for you, whatever you need. When people say, because you don't know how people feel.
No.
Honestly, I mean, even though I may go through a loss, I don't really know what they're going through.
Right. It's unique.
It is.
Yes. Yes. It's like, there's that saying, step into my shoes. I can't possibly. I wouldn't know how.
No.
And
no, your shoes are custom fit, and
yes.
You've been customizing them all your life, as I've been customizing mine, right?
Exactly.
What would you say? That's a good question to ask you. That didn't really come up in our conversation, but what is your, this is a good conversation where you could make some recommendations of, in any loss at all, what is I guess, the most benign, I hate to say it's not generic, but you know what I'm saying? Like something, something or some steps that people could take, that the person would know that you care and that you're there for them, should they elect to
engage.
Advantage of that, to engage.
Absolutely. And so from the supporter place, it really feels to be authentic with yourself. And if you don't know what to say, then that's exactly what you say. I cannot even imagine how you feel. And I just want you to know that I am here, and I will let you reach out to me, because especially during the first, month or so, especially with the media, in a case like that, I had media, I had thousands of thank yous to write, and gratefully so. And there was so much coordinating and collaborating to do. And then after that first month, it's like, oh, it got quiet.
Yes.
The silence, I can remember I had my TV on for about a year. It was like I needed the noise of a home being my home again, instead of just something that housed all of this horror and this sadness. And so allow people that space when they've got their family around. And please don't ever be offended if they say, I can't talk, because it's not personal. It really isn't. And so just check in once in a while too. And be honest with yourself. I'm sad, and I can't imagine how you feel. Don't want to either. No, I'm here. If you need to call and just talk, I will just nod my head and go, once in a while. And one of the hardest things, I think, is for people to put themselves in your shoes and say, I understand. And it's hard to respond to that, because then all of a sudden it's shifted into us being supported to us supporting the person that's called. And also, well, you understand, well, I don't know how you could. So we've disengaged our process, and we moved into something completely different. And so just staying with someone and letting them speak. If they have 1,000 pictures of their beloved to show you, look at them. Look at them with them. Really engage with that person and say, oh my gosh, that looks like you had a great time in that picture. Tell me about it. Because our children are alive within us. And yet it's been taboo for us to bring them forward. And, my child doesn't live the same kind of life as yours now. However, my child is very, very, very much alive.
Wow.
Very much. And goes through many processes on the other side as spirit and with us. I was sitting here the other night, as a matter of fact, and once in a great while, I get one of those really wow experiences. And I was sitting here and the kids had been on my mind. I had driven from Chicago to Florida in 2 days. Got my car and went. And so I was sitting here. It was kind of quiet. I was here by myself. And all of a sudden, Martina came in the room and she just wrapped herself around my neck. And it was like she was hugging me and holding me and telling me, I'm so happy that you're here, Mama. I'm so happy you're here. And so that was as physical as if she was here.
Wow.
And so we continue to have a relationship with our child that we would love to share with other people. And yet we don't want them uncomfortable. So sometimes we hold back.
Yes.
And so being merciful for ourselves is to have at least one or two people in our lives that we can say whatever we need to say, whenever we need to say it. And I am so blessed to have that. And sometimes it does take my friends aback a little bit. They're not sure what to say. And it's like, you don't have to say anything. Just let me share. Let me engage here. Let me share with you who they are. Because I think, too, with loss, we have new people come into our lives that perhaps didn't know us before. And so who we are now is certainly different than who we are before our great loss. And so, and to share and get to know those that we've lost, what a great adventure that can be. That's that dancing out loud. That's like, here, dance with us. Martina and Helen want to dance. Let's put some music on and let's dance through this conversation. Let's animate. Let's, and that's the other thing. I know I move a lot. And that's them coming through as well as myself. I want to dance with them. And I want to be honest that that's what I'm doing.
Yes.
So, and for other people, if it makes them uncomfortable, be honest, because there are other places I can go to do that. And it's okay. I don't judge. I don't stand in judgment. Oh my goodness. Not at all. So I think that would be just really, in a lot of the, God wanted a flower for their garden or saved them from something worse. Wow, what could that be? Those kinds of things are really hard to hear.
Yes.
Yeah. So being mindful of that is not supportive, and finding, especially if you don't know somebody really well, yet you want to be there to support them. Again, just being there sometimes is the biggest support, even without words. Just hold a hand, touch somebody just gently, if they're open to that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they're standing with their arms crossed, then we don't do that. However, just a simple touch, sometimes that is so merciful, because part of what we miss is that touch. And so bringing that in, it allows the dance and the conversation to continue. And it allows it to come in and collaborate with how we're living our lives now. That touch, that dance, it collaborates into every relationship we have, whether it's momentary or lifelong.
Okay, this is great, because this is what you took the conversation right where I wanted.
Awesome.
Isn't that great? You are very intuitive.
Yes.
My question is, the you that you were, and you said that you were, you said fourth generation intuitive, and that you knew of that gift from the time that you were 3.
Mm-hmm.
How has that changed, morphed, developed, adapted, transformed? Like, like what's different?
Okay. When I was growing up, my aunt and uncle owned a funeral home. So I got lots of practice.
Ah,
I would be in the parlor with the person in the casket talking to them,
ah,
instead of playing with my cousins. And so I did that when I was younger. As a teenager, of course, it's like I don't want to see my friends' grandparents standing there or what might be happening in the future. So it didn't get turned off, but it got put in this beautiful box with a beautiful bow because I knew it was a gift, and it walked with me, but as that beautiful gift in the box, unwrapped at the moment. And so when Martina and Helen were killed, it took me some time. But as I said, immediately, well, almost immediately, they were coming through. And the night that it happened overnight. There was this horrendous storm with no rain. And I could feel a shift then. And I remember saying, I was wide awake with the lightning coming in, and I could see it on my skin. And I'm like, Mom, you're trying to tell me something, but I'm just not getting it. And so going back to that place and honoring that I wasn't supposed to know either. So, and then bringing that forward into a place where going to people and trying to find, and the more esoteric people, the astrologers, the spiritualists, trying to find somebody that would help me with some answers, or not even answers, because I don't ask why. I learned not to ask why. And so just to be in some peace and some mercy with somebody that wasn't going to run from me.
yes.
And so that's what I was seeking. And as I sought that, I had a couple of encounters that became pretty intense and not valid. And through that, it
So
was
what do you mean by not valid? I missed that.
okay. There are people that say they're mediums and they're really not.
Oh,
Yep.
you're
And
talking about experiences with others that
yes,
got it.
yes,
Okay.
yes. Sorry. I
That's
move
okay.
here.
No, I just wanted to stay with you.
Yes, thank you for asking for clarity. I hop a lot, so it's the dancing thing. So through that, I realized, oh my gosh, there's people like me out here in the world. We watch the news. There's lots of us here, and excuse me, and to have authentic support is one of the most precious gifts we could have.
Yes.
And so I talked to Martina and Helen. I talked to who I call God. And I said, okay, let's do this. However, you're going to have to bring them to me because you will know better than I do who would benefit from this amazing experience and story. And so I did that. And for 16 years now, I've seen about 90,000 people now.
Oh my
And
goodness.
yes, and some in groups, some in, individual, and some through retreats and stuff that I facilitate. And every single person, I've never advertised. And so they bring whoever could benefit from their story.
Hmm.
And so their story has continued. And so, and it does evolve. We evolve as people. We evolve. Our soul so wants to come and be the expression of who we are. And so as we allow more and more of our soul in, we become empowered and we know ourselves more. When we know ourselves more, we get clarity. And that also comes forward in each and every conversation that we have with somebody or many people.
Yes.
So it has evolved. I remember the first couple of readings I did, I was like, oh my gosh, you know, because I do also know that there's a great responsibility.
Yes.
And to bring forward the love that spirit has. You know, there's humanness here that perhaps didn't follow them into the spirit world. So they shed and they become the beautiful light that they are. They become their soul again. And then with that, we have the bigger vision to perhaps see what the experience really meant.
That's profound. Wow.
Yes. Yes. And so we can see, you know, Martina and Helen danced their dance here. And I was honored to be their mom, truly honored. I really, their courage and their presence was so precious here and on the other side. And so bringing all of that in and the bigger picture, there's 90,000 people that have gotten to meet Martina and Helen on this side.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bigger picture. And so I always feel that it is my utmost responsibility and accountability to continue to grow in my own process.
Mm-hmm.
And as I do, whatever that is, I bring forward. I bring it forward in my dance. And I bring it forward with great mercy for others. When we have mercy for others, it allows them to be wherever it is that they are. Wherever they are. And that, oh my goodness, to be a witness to that authenticity, there aren't words to convey how powerfully strong and loving that is. And so on Flag Day in 1993, Martina and Helen opened that up for me to be a witness to the day they died.
Yeah. How is it that you said 90,000 people, so how is it that you serve? I mean, there's various ways I would imagine that you bring your gift.
I do. I have a webinar twice a month that I do. I do individual sessions. I love doing individual sessions, and I do those. I have offices kind of around the world at this point. And so I'm in different locations. And I do groups. I facilitate seminars, and they can be 3-day seminars, and I've done 10-day seminars overseas.
And is the subject matter always the same?
Not always. I have grief. I have I work with people with their past lives, and how that's coming into this lifetime, and what are the wonderful things from that lifetime that are coming forward. I love to focus on and reframe and look at the positive. Let's bring in the positive. And fear has a place, and to be clear with where that is. Fear can be curiosity that's unknown. And so when we look at it, oh, that's not so scary after all. I'm just a little curious and not sure. So that makes me a little uncomfortable. That's different than fear.
Yes.
And so that's another one of the things that I look at with people. Relationships, mostly with the self, the goddess, or the hero and the heroine, so, and I do it all over the world, and I travel. I had watched your earlier message with Kia, and home came forward, and
yes,
I'm right there. It's like home is where I bring myself authentically. So I don't have a specific physical home. I have amazing people in my life that allow me to share their space. And I'm
Wow.
so very, very grateful for that.
Wow.
So it lets Martina and Helen dance still, and me too.
Well, it gives you, I mean, obviously you can serve at a higher level in person by not being anchored.
Yes. Yes.
And when you have that inside, an anchor is a good thing, I think, when you're in fort, right? You have
Yes.
to have that inside anchor,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't want an anchor that you drag around all the time, though.
No, no, mine is light. Mine floats.
It floats. Yeah, I can tell that. I totally can tell that. Yeah, dancing out loud. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Mine is made of the stars and the constellations. So, yeah.
What would you say? What would you say to someone who's tapping into this live stream or watching it as a rebroadcast? They've gone through a loss. Now, you lost children. People
Yes.
can lose a spouse.
Yes.
People can lose a parent, a
Mm-hmm.
brother, a sibling. Um, People can lose a relationship to death. Right?
Yes.
What steps would you recommend? Because clearly, you're very light,
Thank you.
and yeah, and I'm just observing the obvious. It was not a compliment. Just
Okay.
I'm observing the obvious. You know what I'm saying? It's just, and I guess it is a compliment to the work that you've done or to who you are shining through. But you're not blocking who you are, and I
No.
think that there was some work to get to where you are today, even though you had the assistance of your daughters that
Yes.
stayed as a dynamic energy in your life. There is some work. And you talked about the alone time. You
Mm-hmm.
talked about grief, right?
Yes.
What would you recommend to someone who is moving through a loss, either recent or, hey, sometimes unhandled? A loss unhandled can linger for the grief can linger for decades.
Absolutely. And loss that's decades old can come back.
Yes,
Even if you've processed it, it's like, oh,
yes,
here's another layer. Okay, thanks. you know, um,
yes.
and I would say, and I would offer this: you are never, ever, ever alone. You belong exactly where you are. So feel yourself. Touch your knees. Our knees are our pride, by the way.
Mm,
So touch your knees, rub your knees, allow your pride to be soothed. Allow your heart, put your hand on your heart and say, okay, take a deep breath and allow yourself. Get on the ground and sob and weep if that's what you need to do. There were days I was out in my front yard weeping on the ground in a fetal position. Absolutely. That's part of our process of allowing ourselves to feel. And the other thing I will say is when you weep those deep, deep, somebody had mentioned one time the word keening and how it's just that whole body reaction to grief where it's you
mm,
feel it in every cell. You just don't know what to do.
yeah.
And so it's overflowing. And so we just allow it. And oftentimes there's rocking, there's tears, and the sounds that come out of us, my goodness,
Mm,
they're almost animalistic.
mm.
And then allowing that and not being embarrassed or judge yourself with it. So find yourself that place where you can do that. That's the most important thing, is to feel safe in doing and processing how you are. And you know what? Grief is tough. It's not an easy thing. It's tough. And there's days where it's like, whew, I'd pull up to the grocery store, get back in my car, and come home.
Yeah.
It's been 26 years. And it's okay to do. So just starting on this path, be gentle, gentle, gentle. If there's something that comes up that you have to deal with, get help. If you can't do it yourself, call a family member, call a friend and say, I can't navigate through death certificates and insurance. I need help. All I can do is cry. Please help me.
Mm.
And then get somebody over to sit with you. And
That's
say,
the mercy piece. So showing mercy to yourself.
yes, absolutely. And being honest with yourself. If you can't do it now, that's fine. Put it aside. It's not going anywhere. And know that this doesn't pass. However, you get to walk with it differently.
Ooh, that's potent. This doesn't pass, but you get to walk with it differently. That is,
Yes.
what a great way to give that words.
Yeah. It doesn't pass. It doesn't go away. This is now part of what defines you. As much as we wish that that person was still here and that that loss didn't occur. And sometimes it's a career. Our identity is built into our career, or
Yeah.
vice versa.
Yes.
And when that gets taken, or it's not available anymore,
Yes.
what do? Who are we?
Yes.
And to look at that as, this is going to be different. My life is different from that moment forward. And to say, and that insanity circle of trying to do the same thing with a different outcome, saying, you know what, the outcome is different already, so I can't change it. Nor is it something that is changeable. So to sit with that and say, or to just be in yourself with that, be in your head, bring it down to the heart too, and feel into it.
Do you offer workshops specifically for grief then?
I do.
And this is available on your website?
It is. You can reach
or
me
you
through
can
the website.
contact you through the
Yep.
website. I believe we, on our contributors page, I'm confident that we put your website.
Okay. Awesome.
Because
Awesome.
it seems like, you just brought up the thing with like the loss of a job or a career. I have know several clients who downsize, right size, wrong size, whatever you're going to call it, right? Redundancy. I have a client who was made redundant 3 times in a very short period of time.
Wow.
And yeah, there's a lot of, when you're involved in the corporate structure, it's,
Yes.
this gets bought out and, what was perceived to be secure. And you're right, so much as a society, it's not just, we don't say, I mean, I do it all the time. I want to know, what do you do? Like, who are you and what do you do? Like,
Right.
what's your path?
Right.
And so many people literally have defined themselves by, I'm an engineer, or
Yes.
I work for such and such a company. People will tell me, I say, yeah, but what do you do there? Because I just want to understand more about what drives them, what motivates them. Do you like it, or do you? But it is interesting when you brought that up, because that loss, I know that there's a suicide tendency amongst, there's some at-riskness.
Yes.
People of a certain age, specifically males, who, they've grown up in a society and, like, they did everything they were supposed to do.
Yes.
Right? That they were told to do. They worked
Yes.
hard, they got good grades, they worked hard, they got the degree or whatever. And now they're 57 or 62 or 48, and all of a sudden it's like they're looking to replace an income that they worked all those years. You know what I'm saying? That's not an unusual story today.
No, it isn't.
And it does bring on depression. This
It
time
does.
of the year, when you have a financial shortage, you're really reminded of it this time of year, because we do tend to, the commercialism
Yes.
of Christmas, we show our love through things a lot
Yes.
instead of
Yes.
through experiences and moments.
Mhm.
The older
Mhm.
I get, the more it's important to me. The memories, making of memories is just way more valuable than another
Yes.
purse or set of shoes or earrings or right?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And there may be other people that are looking to that person going, but you've always provided. Now what?
Exactly.
So it's not
Exactly.
just self, it's a
That's exactly
spouse or
right.
children. And
Right.
and it's devastating
Yeah.
and it's different. So loyalty comes in there too. And what do you do with the lack of that?
Yes.
You
Oh,
know, how do you sit with that?
yeah. You were loyal to a company and then,
Mhm.
yeah, there's no
Right.
loyalty
Right.
to the
Through all of
individual,
their changes.
to the
Yeah.
individual.
Right.
And you can logically, you can back out of it and logically say, well, and you could understand the deduction method of maybe why you were given your pink slip or whatever, your severance, but
Mhm.
it's still on an emotional level, it's a form of a betrayal of a
It
trust
is.
because you've
Yes.
given your life to whatever the path was.
Right. And there again, it doesn't shift the outcome.
No.
The outcome is still the same. What
Yes.
am I going to do with myself?
Yes.
And who am I?
And who
Who
am
am I
I?
now with this experience?
Yes. And who am I really? Because
Yes.
was who I was being, was the kind of like the avatar of whatever I took on. Is that really who I am?
Right.
And then you have all the social commentary of being older, and
Mhm. Right.
there's a lot of support needed.
There is. Absolutely.
So you must do this work.
I do. I
I
love it.
love that. I love that you do that.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. I'm
Yep.
sure we'll talk again. There'll be more talks.
I'm sure. And I
Yeah.
can't wait to meet you when I get back up north.
Yeah. So funny that you were in the very town that my studio was in. Like most people don't even know where that's at. And we had one conversation and you're like, hey,
I know.
are you here at this today? I'm like, no, I'm in Michigan. But that is really, for me, it validates.
Yes.
That's what it does
Yes.
for me, is it
Yes.
just validates the
Yes.
timing.
And
Yes.
and we get validation all the time when
All the
we
time.
are open to hearing it.
Yes.
We really do.
Yes. The sitting in the quiet that you spoke of,
Mhm.
that's a powerful piece.
It is. It
It
is.
is.
And you can sit in the quiet in a crowded mall.
Yes, you can.
You can sit in the quiet amongst millions of people in an
Yes.
airport.
Yes. Sometimes that's some of the best.
It is. It
Yeah,
is.
it
Woo.
really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Developing that muscle of, it's that practice,
Hmm.
I
Yes.
think encouraging people to just practice, because sometimes when you first started in the quiet, you get the emotions,
Yes.
and you're not necessarily, you're trying to, wait, I'm sitting in the quiet to like escape the emotion, but actually that's not what you're doing sitting in the
No.
quiet. You're
No.
sitting in the quiet to embrace and
Yes. Exactly.
allow, right? And the
Yes.
more you do it, the more beauty you find in it and the more peace in the
Mhm.
allowing
Yes.
that emerges.
And the more whatever we're missing comes in and sits with
Yes.
us,
Oh my gosh.
puts their arm around us and says, we got this. We
Yeah.
got this.
Yeah. You are so not alone.
Exactly. Never, not for a second.
Thank you. We
Mm.
have to go. This was a
Okay.
long session, but it was worth every minute. Thank
Mm.
you so very much for giving your time today.
Absolutely. And Jeanne, thank you. It's been an honor.
Uh, the honor's been mine, really. And thank you for your transparency and sharing, because it's not somebody, it's not just a story that you're telling.
No, it's a life. It's
It's
three, many.
yeah, it's an experience that you've that you continue to walk in. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And Merry Christmas to everybody out there and yourself and your
Absolutely.
family. Yes.
And I think we do have a contributors page.
Good. Awesome.
I think if you go to jeanniefritch.com and along the menu, A Day of Light and Love, you will find all the bios. And so your link is there for people to access you.
Okay, wonderful. I look forward to supporting anybody that wishes that.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you and Merry Christmas, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.